Now we're going to talk about our last depreciation method. This one is going to be called units of production or units of output, right? You'll hear it phrased a couple different ways. Now, instead of depreciation being based on time or some scheme, we're going to base it on a level of activity, right? The more we use an asset, the more we're going to depreciate it. The less we use an asset, the less we'll depreciate it, right? So we have the same asset, $250,000 cost, $20,000 salvage value. Only now I'm going to measure useful life in miles, right? So we're assuming that this particular asset, this vehicle, is going to last us 300,000 miles, right? So units of production. First thing we got to do is figure out a rate, right? A rate of depreciation. And our formula for rate looks like the straight line formula. Cost minus salvage value all over useful life, right? Cost minus salvage value all over useful life. So now our cost is what? $250,000. Salvage value is $20,000. So that's 230,000 over 300,000 miles, right? And we get a rate. If you do that math, this is kind of messy. This is a repeating decimal. It works out to what? 0.667 or 0.7667 cents per mile, right? About $0.75 a mile. So every mile we drive it, we're going to depreciate it by that rate, right? Now, we don't need to see that anymore. So we'll put that up there. I'm going to build my little table. Before we do that, right, remember that's our rate. We have to know what our estimate for how far we're going to drive this thing is, right? So I'm going to leave that rate up there. I'm going to put this right up there, right? So here's our estimates for the mileage we're going to drive every year, right? There's our rate per mile. So we have our same table that we've built before. Book value at the beginning of the year, depreciation expense, and book value at the end of the year, right? Each year we're going to do it, right? So year one, my book value at the beginning of the year, just like all of them, is $250,000, right? So what we're doing now, we're doing this based on this level of activity. So year one, I drive this vehicle 54,900 miles, right? And we know that we depreciated at a rate of 0.7667 per mile. So I take 54.9 times 0.7667, I get 42,090. That's probably a little rounding there, but we're rounding to the closest dollar, right? So I got that by doing what? 54.9 times 0.7667. My year one depreciation is 42,090, right? 250 minus that number gives us 207,910, right? So there's our first year depreciation. Second year with book value still 207,910, right? Second year I drive 61,000 miles, a few more miles, right? Times, so 61,000 times 0.7667 means this year's depreciation 47,767, right? 61,000 times that rate gives us that number, right? And I wash that against the 207,910. It gives me 161,143, right? So there's our second year. We get to the third year. My beginning book value is my last year's ending book value. Third year is 54,750 miles times my rate of 0.7667. That's going to be 41,975, right? 41,975. That's what I'm putting into the adjusting entry, right? And I ending book value of 119,168. Okay. There's all the way through the third year. The fourth year, 119,168. Year 4, we drive a lot of miles, 68,450 miles times our rate. So this is going to be our biggest number yet, right? 52,478. And wash that against the 119, and that gives me 66,690. So there I'm at the end of 4 years. You can see that doesn't have a pattern, right? It just depends on how many miles we've driven. So I know I'm at what? 66,690. I know that at the end of the 5th year, this has to be what? This has to be 20,000 bucks, right? So let's just go ahead and do the math. If I do 61,500, our normal way of doing this, 61.5 times my rate, I get a number a little over 47,000 bucks, right? But I can't deduct that much because that would take us below book value. So just like we did in declining balance, this is going to end up being a plug, right? So I'm going to just plug that last number, 66,690 minus 20,000 gives us 46,690, right? So that's all we do to get to units of production. Now remember, on all 3 methods, right? If I add this total up, I'm going to come to what? 230,000 bucks, right? Because that's how much I'm depreciating. No matter what method I'm using, I'm depreciating 230,000 bucks. The only thing that's changed from straight line to double declining balance to units of production is the rate or the speed at which we're depreciating, right? Straight line, same every year. Declining balance was accelerated more early in the life and less later on. And now units of production, there is no pattern. It's just based on activity, right? But we know we want this thing to be what? 20,000 bucks at the end of its estimated useful life. So that is units of output or units of production. So we've now looked at each of the 3 depreciation methods.